Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel, and welcome back to me again. It's been 3 weeks since my last video, and I haven't been narrating for a while, but I'm of course here back, and I'm back with something exciting. It's the Indiafoxtecho M346, the Leonardo M346, a twin-seat, twin-engined training aircraft that's also combat capable. It looks like it's loaded up with some medium-range air-to-air missiles, underwing tanks, under fuselage tanks. Goodness, that looks awesome. Let's have a quick look around the outside first. What we'll do then is I'll show you the different liveries you can get. I'll then show you the cockpit, the functionality of the MFDs, etc. And then we'll take it for a flight, including aerobatics, low speed handling, low level, and an ILS. Oh my goodness, there's so much to this video. If you enjoy this content, you're interested in this aircraft, then chuck a like in, chuck a subscribe in, help support the channel. And tell me what you think. The developers often read through your comments, so is it an aircraft you'll get? Is it an aircraft you like the look of? Is there anything else you'd like to see available on it, or functionality? Feel free to chuck that in the comments. But as you can see from the external texturing, it looks beautiful. If I go close up, like with anything, the resolution starts dropping off slightly, but it looks awesome. You can see the smudges on the paintwork. Very, very, very nice indeed. The aircraft itself is really small and squat. It looks really badass with those big missiles on it. But the details are very nice indeed. Look at the undercarriage, is always a telltale sign that developers have got attention to detail, and there's plenty of attention going into that. So that's the external picture. We'll have a look at the liveries now. It comes in a variety of liveries, as you can see here. Lots of Stormo special colours. There's some Turkmen Air Force, Israeli Air Force. You get the primer only, which is pretty sweet. And the one we're flying today is the T100 prototype. So here we are in the cockpit of the M346. Canopy, by the way, it's on the right hand side. And I can put myself on the side looking over the rail. I've obviously got the engine started just to keep things quick, but it looks really, really tidy in cockpit. What I did, really bad habit pattern of me, because actually I should have demonstrated the fact that you can put the seat pin in, there it goes, and you can make the, well, seat safe. Ideally, you'd have the seat safe before you put the pin in, and if your seat was armed, you wouldn't be able to put the pin in. So that's a little bit incorrect, but the functionality is very nice all the same. So I can take the pin out, I can make the seat live, and there we go. We are good to go with the canopy shut. Let's have a look around the cockpit. So lower left, here we go, you've got the engine start switches at the front. You've got, I believe, the weapons switches or something on the panel next down. Then you've got trim, some trim functions, bits and pieces, RWR, and some other bits and pieces. Pretty simple on the left hand side. On the right hand side, we've got the console lighting. To the aft section, you've got the MAS, which is the Master Armored Safety Switch or subsystems. You've got the cabin temp ECS, you've got TCAS IFF, you've got ICS or the intercom volumes for everything, and then you've got the power to each of the communications and nav aids further forwards. And then on the front panel, just in front of that, is the electrics, generators and batteries, etc. Look at the instruments. Let's have a quick look through what you can do on the MFD. And the MFDs are pretty decent in terms of functionality. You can hit the menu button, and these are all the buttons you can press. Generally, the ones on the left and the right are not that functional. But let's start with the ones at the base. So ADI is the page you have in the middle. Actually, you can press any of these buttons without the menu button. It comes up with the page. So this one gives you the HSI in ILS mode that we've got dialed in for Alliance Fort Worth, where we are. That gives you a course deviation index. You can also use TACAN, although that appears in this case not to have a course deviation index, but it might do if it's picking up the frequency. You've then got the IGI, and we're going to be flying some IGI, some flight plan routing, and that gives you likewise details and the waypoint numbers. More on that in a second. What are we going for now? Now we've got a map display. We've actually got a moving map, which is really tidy. Zoom in, zoom out. You've got all the nearest airfields, which is excellent for navigation. And once I give it a chance to, in fact, I've flown this route once already. I go up here to steer points and then cycle through at our steer point 2. Looking back here, it's now drawn my route again, so I'll zoom in, and this is the route we're going to take, and it takes us back to the ILS final approach fix-ish. So that's nice, and you can switch the map on and off so you have a tactical display or the map. So I'll use that again in a moment. You've then got the flight plan details, waypoints, and coordinates for each place you have. and the systems page, but you've got that repeated on the right hand side if you wish with the NH, NL and the EGT, so you don't have to have this page all of the time. I've got HSD, I'm not sure how much functionality is there, but it's there if you wish. EWS as well, just represented. FCS gives you all the details of what the aircraft airframe services are doing. So you've got flaps on the left hand side, you can see the flaps that are landing, that's your indicator, and it just tells you whether it's flaps up, flaps takeoff or flaps land. You've got the speed brake or air brake indicated there and on here, and of course the 3 green. So that's your basic functionality, as well as some hydraulic bits and pieces as well. CNI just gives you details of the COM and the IFF set, and then SMS is just your mass arm, which we've already shown you, and the underwing tanks that you have fitted. If you press menu twice, you can go to a checklist function, and then you can go takeoff, in-flight, landing, which is nicely laid out, and then you can scroll sub-menus down to lineup checks, takeoff checks, after takeoffs, so you can have all of the information you need, and it gives you information of takeoff flap less than 230, land at less than 200, and then the approach speed is 117 knots at 6 tons. In fact, let's have a look what we are, because we've got lots of underwing stores. We are all up at 10.5, so pretty darn heavy, but we're going to go with it. So that's an extra 4,000 to 8. Add 4 knots for every, so 8 times 4, 32. Cool, 32 on top of that is 119, 149, let's call it 150 is my approach speed. Whew, maths in public. So there is lots of stuff you can do on these pages, which is excellent. So I'm going to leave it on the IGI steer point, waypoint 2 for our route. I'll leave the EADI on the center, and I'll leave the right hand page being the map display for the big picture stuff. Whilst we're here, let's have a quick look at the head-up display, and if you've got any other Indiafoxtecho models, you'll notice the head-ups is nicely familiar. A quick look through the UFCP functionality, IFF 4577 favourite squawk. If you know it, that's what I use. COM details, just type in manually here. Flight plan, you can ink deck or change your steer point. That also changes when you've got IGI selected here, it will change where it's pointing you, so really nice for navigation. Data, you can set your decision height as an altitude. I haven't been able to get that to alert me, but it's there if you wish. You can change the laser code, etc. Lots of stuff you can do with this. On the right hand side, you can change the flight path marker. I think I've got it combined to flight director and flight path marker, but I'm not familiar with this system. I'll just leave it as is. Whilst we've got, can set the TACAN up at 104 for the nearest, I think it's Ranger VORTAC. And VOR ILS is tuned in. Thus, you've got a time, start, stop, reset. And I think that's just about it. I should also mention at this point, you've got autopilot functionality. I haven't tried it yet, but there's your APFD lower left. You've got altitude select, you've got Barrow on the left hand side here, and on the right is where you set the course and the heading as you wish. So that is a quick look around the inputs. Now, if I haven't already mentioned, or I'll put it along the bottom of the screen, this is of course a pre-release version, so some things might be slightly different on release, but like I say, caveat is there that it is a beta version. Okay, so speed brake needs to go in, flaps are indicating normally, parking brake is off. I don't know why we're juttering. It looks like I've got no hydraulics in the front. You know what, I'm going to move it back. I'm going to take all the underwing stores off and see if that stops my bouncing. Underwing stores, by the by, I just use the Payload manager for that. And of course, if you buy this from the marketplace, if and when it's available, you won't get the missiles, you will get the fuel tanks, of course. So if I remove that, that has decreased the pressure on my Olio, which is nice. I put a little bit more gas in. I'm up to 6 tons, so my weight calculation is easy. And let's taxi on and see if that makes it better. It does. Interesting. There we go. Like I say, it's pre-release and most likely going to be fixed. What I'm going to do though, because I like the external stores, is I'll put them back on once we're airborne. Here we go. Lots of excess power in this model. I'm not sure how realistic that is, but it goes off the line like a whippet. It goes through 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. It should be airborne pretty much now. Gear flap up straight away, otherwise you'll overspeed them. It's a little bit bouncy. I'm using a 10 centimeter extension tube on my stick so that it's a little easier to control, but it is very sensitive. Gear and flaps up. That's come up on 300 knots, and the power is, well, you get lots of power. So I've set about 40 degrees nose up, and I'm holding about 290 knots, and we are going to the moon. I've got experience on aircraft, similar weight category, with reheating engines, afterburners, and they can only manage about 20 degree nose up. But like I say, I've got no experience in this aircraft, and it might be that the engines just are that hefty. Okay, now we're up here. Let's do some slow speed handling. I'll just demonstrate what happens when you get this thing too slow. So that's through 230 knots. That's through 150. Gives you a stall. The turn stops, which is accurate, and it just kind of wallows, which makes sense. It's very prone to rolling opposite to where you put the sticks. If I rolled left there and I went right. And it does drop a wing occasionally, so be careful when you get below 130 knots. Oh, it's still stalling on me. There we go, we're back. So it's quite sensitive at the stall. I'm not sure about the auto rotation piece, but like I say, who knows? You just got to treat it with respect at slower speeds. Whilst we're here, also, let's go down and do some aerobatics. Because it is a trainer after all, and aerobatics is a stepping stone to air combat. So let's go for about 400 knots. We're starting about 3,000 feet, and we'll go for a loop first. So here we go. Mil power, that's 420 knots. About 5G coming up. There goes the moon. Awesome. Have a look from the outside. Zoom out as well so you can see it. There you go. Nice bit of spluff off the top. The aerobatics, really easy. Now the one I did get wrong earlier was a barrel roll, because I lost the speed in the roll. When you lose the speed, it goes incipient. Let's try this. Oh, very sensitive in the roll, by the way. Even when you're slow, it will roll very quickly. That could have been worse. Anyway, so looking at my map, it looks like I'm going towards steer point 2. Iggy suggests also the same. So let's put the course arrow in the 12 o'clock. For about 420 knots and take it into low level. There's the breakaway cross.
Pull up. Pull up.
Yeah. What we'll do whilst we're here is we'll put all the good stuff back on the underwings. Nope, go on. Does that do it? Did that do it? Oh, look at that. It looks a little bit Rafale-like from the front. Yes. Nice. Indiafoxtecho always do very nice external models. That looks sweet. A few stutters because I'm low level. I've got AccuSeasons, or the Rex AccuSeasons, the new trees, so they're all very high quality, and I'm in a very very dense scenery type location, so I'm working my computer hard, that is for sure. So at low level, you just keep the throttle fairly far back. I like to cruise at 420 knots, but it'll sit there all day long. Max speed at low level, or up to about 2,000-3,000 feet. You can get 550 in mil power straight and level, which is all you need, really. It's the same as the Hawk T1. The Hawk T1 could just about squeeze out 550 knots. Okay, let's head inbound for the ILS. Keep this pretty short and sweet. Now, let's do that max speed, and then we'll climb up and just show you the zoom climb, because that's always fun too. Another neat feature at low level is if you notice the rad out, here we go, it's showing 300, 400 feet. If I bank above 45-ish, you'll see the rad out, 45 bank, the rad out disappears, because the rad out is, of course, a radar altimeter, and if it's not pointed at the ground within a certain cone, you'll lose any information from it. So nice to see that that's also modeled. So attention to detail is good. Oh, lots of houses, textures. Don't jutter, don't jutter, don't jutter. Okay, speed-wise, what are we doing here? We are now up to 425 knots. We are, as they say, snotting along. Interesting fact, this is the T100 prototype livery. This aircraft was originally offered as a replacement to the United States Air Force T-38. They produced it, or they offered it like this. They didn't accept it. They went for the, I think it's the T-7 Red Hawk. But they call it the T100, so that's why this livery is as it is. Right, let's go up. Up we go. We're 550 knots. And up we go. Nice. Gently over the top. Look at that. Thing of beauty. Let's hold it there for a minute. Look underneath. Nice, 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 nice. There's the airfield I'm trying to get to down there. Let's pull the power back. And the speed brake is on the spine of the aircraft. There it is. Also very nicely animated. Goodness, that looks nice. That's what I say, about 150 for my approach speed, so let's give that a go. In the aircraft, the speed brake's still out. My speed is 220 knots. That will do. We'll go takeoff flap. We'll put the gear down. I want about 2,400 feet off the top of my head. We'll go nav source to the ILS. I can see the runway, so I'm cheating a little bit. It's worth remembering in this aircraft that those, the course and the glide slope indicators are the raw data. They are not flight directors. On previous videos I tried to use them as a flight director and it didn't work. Now flaps to down. Probably a bit steep, but let's start going down now. And I set some custom cameras up, so here's the underwing. Let's go to the right a bit. I'll show you the animation of the gears. Of course, very smooth. And a nice view from the wheel well. Smart. I mean, look at that. That's cool. So the release date, I will defer you to... Oh, I don't want to go there, do I? There we go. Back in the cockpit. I prefer that view. There we go. Maybe a little bit zoom in. I'm a bit low now, and probably slow. What's my speed? 150 knots. Okay, so not too bad. That's the release date. That's what I was trying to say before I distracted myself. With Sim Update 10. So I'm operating Sim Update 9. Sim Update 10 is when this should be released, and that should be towards the end of September. I believe, if you check out their social media, it is an intent to bring it to the Xbox, but it will be PC only to start with. And like I say, this is a very nicely modelled aircraft with good MFD functionality, lots of different nav sources to play with, good external stores, very twitchy in the roll, even slow speed it just twitches quite a lot, and very rapid on the acceleration. But aside from those which are the only question marks I have in terms of realism, it's a very tidy little aircraft to fly. Oh, can I land it in the first 1,000 feet? Come on. Oh. We're definitely down, that's for sure. And just that bouncing because I've got the external stores on a little bit. I'll ask them to bump up the hydraulic pressure in the front oleo. That should fix that. Cool. Anyway, that is the end of the video. I'm glad to be back, glad to be producing videos again, and hopefully that was a decent look at this aircraft. Let me know what you think. Put in the comments below what you liked, what you didn't like, what you'd like to see, whether you're going to get it. Put all that in the comments because it's great to chat, and like you know, I will respond when I have the time to do so. Make sure you check on the like and subscribe, help support the channel. But that is all for now. I hope you'll join me for my next video, which should be coming out at the weekend, and it's a good instructional one back to my fast jet days. So hit that notification bell as well if you want to be reminded when that one is out. Until the next time, take care.